Hello and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how easy it really is to do professional looking skin retouch in Photoshop. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and yes, I do have a humongous green pointer, but hopefully that will help you see what I'm doing. So here is our image that we're going to work with today, and we're going to use a technique called frequency separation. And effectively this is separating the texture layer from the color layer, enabling us to edit them separately without affecting each other. So it's really simple. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to duplicate this layer twice. So go over to your layer, right click, duplicate layer. Okay. And then do that again. Okay. And we're going to name the first layer color. And the second one texture. Okay. So select your color layer and you're going to go up to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. Now this is effectively taking away the detail and leaving the color behind. So we want this to be blurred, but not excessively. So I usually find 6.4 works perfectly for me, but you may want to play with that depending on the image. So once you're happy with this, okay. And then we're going to select our texture layer and we're going to go up to image, apply image, can find it there, and you're going to select in the layer, you're going to select color and then highlight, or sorry, tick invert. Blending needs to be set to add, and you want to make sure that opacity is 100 and the scale is 2, and then select OK. As you can see, this is all the texture in the image. Now if we go over to our blending mode and we select linear light, now you should end up with the original image. It should look exactly the same. Now we're set to go. So I'm going to edit the texture layer first. So make sure your texture layer is highlighted, and we'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so you're going to want to use the patch tool. Now I'm using a tablet and a pen, so this is quite a bit easier. It's easier to be quite accurate in very small areas. If you're using a mouse, zoom in a little bit further, take your time, really just work through the image slowly. At the end of the day, the more time you take, the better end result. So anyway, work small. So if we, in fact, let's remove this slight pimple first. So if we highlight the piece we want to remove, and then all you do is drag that to an area where the texture is smoother than the area that you have selected, and that's it. Now it won't affect the color currently because we're only working on the texture layer, so you may find that the color is slightly different, but we can fix that when we go into the color layer. So I'll just work away like this, keep small, and don't drag your texture selection too far away from the area you're working in, because then it will look false. We want to keep the texture of the skin, but we just want to smoothen it out a little bit. So we don't want it to look unnatural. Obviously keep any natural imperfections, moles, freckles, etc. And just work your way around the image. Now this is quite good, this image. The skin is not bad at all, but we're just going to smooth it out a little bit here and there. I believe this is an old piercing, so we will remove that. So I'm going to slowly work away at this. I may speed up this section and then I'll come back with you shortly. Okay, so once you're happy with your texture editing, remember to zoom back out every so often and have a look at your work. You don't want to do too much, you want it to look natural still. So I'm fairly happy with this, we didn't need to do too much. So now we'll select the color layer, and basically what you do with this is you select your dropper, which I have lost, there it is, and you'll select an area of the color of the skin tone, and then you'll use a brush to basically even out the changes in the skin tone. Again, this image is pretty good, so I don't need to do a lot, but I'll show you how the technique works. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, and we're going to pick our dropper, and let's see, probably this side. So I'll pick some of the skin tone, select your brush. Now again, I'm using a tablet and pen, which I really recommend for this kind of work anyway, but I'm going to bring the flow right down, probably to about 5 or 6, yeah. Now I don't need to worry about the opacity because I'm using a tablet, so it's based on the pressure of the pen. But if you're using a mouse, you're going to want to play with these settings for the brushes. Make sure you have soft round brush, and effectively we just paint in the skin tone. Now again, I have a flow of 6 and I'm using very gentle strokes. I don't need to do a lot to this image anyway, and that's how it works. You just paint in the color. So you have to be very careful with the color section. It's very easy to go too much, so just be careful with that. So at this point I would do minor touches with the colour. After this I would tend to do highlights and shadows, and then I would do an eye touch up and also the lips, but I'm not going to cover that in this video, but I can make further videos on that in the future. But you will get that effect with the colour as well. You know, if I select a highlight portion of the colour and I paint this down here, then I'll add an highlight. So you have to be very careful with that. This is a step I would prefer to do after the colour step, so just be careful with it. So I'll work on this a little bit, and then I'll come back to you when I'm done. Okay, so when you're happy with your color layer and how the image looks, then the best thing to do after that, check your work, is to hold shift and make sure you select one of these 2 layers first, then hold shift, select the other one, right click, and then group from layers. You can name it whatever you like, but we'll leave it as that for now. And then this will enable you the ability to turn this off and on, so you can see this is before, and we'll zoom in a little bit more. This is before, and this is after. So you can see the skin is quite a bit smoother. Again, I would do my shadows and highlights after this, so this is not by any means a finished image, but it shows you how to get the skin to a good level, and it's as simple as that. So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more in the future, subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.